think that entrepreneurship is all about the business.
That's not true. Absolutely not true. Once you know yourself, who you are, what do you want, what you already know within yourself, you will definitely be successful. That I guarantee you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Personal Development for Entrepreneurs. I'm Ikram with my good friend and mentor, Dr. Venga. In today's episode of Personal Development for Entrepreneurs, we have another interesting topic, which is the art of prioritization. Good evening, Dr. Venga.
Good evening, Ikram. Good evening.
So, Dr. Venga, we always talk about self-management, time management was something we used to speak of, but over time, you've told me that time management is self-management, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And when we talk about self-management, there's so many things that we as individuals, all of us wear many hats: father, mother, husband, wife, son, employee, a colleague, right? So there's so many things to do, and there's really not enough time at all to do all the things that we want to do. And I suppose that's where it becomes very, very important to prioritize what needs to be done. And you've taught me this with various tools as well, including Eisenhower's principle. So maybe this is something that I'd like to go into detail with you today, so you can share it with our listeners and help people prioritize and find that actually there is a lot of time to be productive, but there's no time to do everything.
Because time is a limited commodity or a resource. Yes, that's correct. That's right. That's correct. That's correct. But Ikram, first I think I like to deal with it this way, like Ikram.
Yep.
We need to understand the history of, say, prioritizing. A little bit of history. The history of prioritization starts off, it is a Western concept. 100% Western concept. Why did they develop this prioritization? The two wars, the First World War, there was a slight trace in it when they discovered they do not know the intelligence of people when they had to put them sergeant, lieutenant, and all that. So that's how they start to develop that IQ thing. It's only the First World War they started that, okay? In the Second World War, they had a huge issue of Japan, Germany, what to do. And that's why Eisenhower actually, as you mentioned just now, developed this concept of 4 boxes: urgent, important, less urgent, less important, and all the concept, okay? This is a totally Western concept. But why did they develop that? In the First World War, they already developed, we have to put people to do something. Otherwise, there will be revolution. They got to do something, earn some income. Otherwise, there'll be revolution. That's what they learned in the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th century. That's what they learned. And in order not to have that, they have to put people to work. And part of the problem was that not everybody was geared to that. So the Second World War pushed everybody, every soldier, every human boy, 18 years old, must go to work, join the army. And that's how the concept of, and before that, there was already the Rockefeller and all the rest of it were also putting people to work. But then there was a union and all that. You probably understand that, right?
Right.
Now, the prioritization became a key issue. That is, to put people to do work. So morning 6 to evening 6 is work. You work, for which I pay you money, and then you go home and sleep and come back to work again. So prioritization was only involved in work. What you got to do now, and then they also had the system of SOP. These are the things got to be done. Do it. Don't do anything else. That's what you got to do. So they manage that too.
Right.
And then it spread after the Second World War throughout the world. This is the basis of the history. But in this process, they also discovered something else in the Eastern. The Eastern concept was everything that I had to do must be done. This is an Eastern concept. Meaning, whether it's my home, my house, or whatever I got to do, I must do today. I got to water the garden. I got to feed the animal. I got to take it for grazing. And I got to look after my mother. This is Eastern way of thinking. So for him, there was no need for that prioritization. So he did what was important for him to do. This is how in the 60s and 70s came along.
Right.
When I got involved around 1960 in trying to understand time and time management, I looked at it very carefully myself. And then I developed a concept. And the concept was 20, 20, 60. The first thing is I defined what is this concept. I don't have 24 hours. I have only 16 hours. That's how I started, 16 hours only. Because the other 8 hours, I have to sleep. I got to do that. And so that's not my time. This is my body's time.
Right.
I separated what I can use to what I cannot use the time. 16 hours. And in the 16 hours, 20, 20, 60. 20% for myself. 20% for my home. And 20% for work. I'm sorry, 60% for work.
60%.
Yeah. And within this range, within this 20, 20, 20, I also set something that I have never discussed that with you before. Managing my time was only one of the issue. Health and wellness was the second one I had to issue myself. Financial management, I have to also take care of that. Education, personal development, I had to take care of that too. And finally, the relationship. 5 key areas I defined. So the 16 hours had to be put into this 5 areas, which I did. And I kept record. So you could ask me, is it 20, 20, 60? Well, Ikram, it might surprise you to know that it close to that, Lana.
Fantastic.
Very close to that. The actual record shows me 23% home, actual record. I just extracted the record for the last 60 years, okay? 23% home, personal about 29%, and work is 46%.
Right.
Okay? So this is the outcome of 60 years of work, which the research I put into. Now, the thing is this, the first and important thing, in order for you to prioritize, in order for me to prioritize, the key element is you. Are you important? Am I important? This is the question, am I important? If I'm important, then what I have to do, I must do for the day. Everything that has to be done for the day must be done. That's how I develop my daily schedule in such elaborate way, 20 minutes and all the rest of you know the V planner, the system. In that, I then look very carefully and say, hey, this is what is important. Within the day, I must prioritize. I need to identify what I must accomplish for the day. The third thing is I have to have a method. Because if I have no method, I can't do that either. Okay? And then there will always be things that is overwhelming. It comes to, along the way, somebody will interrupt you and all. I have to manage that. I have to be flexible. I must adapt it. And then I must also at the same time balance what I must accomplish today as what I must accomplish tomorrow.
Right.
And I learned by my own example how to do that over the years. Ikram, if I can put it in a nutshell, that is what prioritizing is important. First is you. If you do not consider yourself as important, that this is a very important thing for me in my life, then my home, in the home comes my wife, my children, my father, my mother. They are also important to me. Okay? And finally, work. Within the work, whatever I can do for the day, I must do. Now, remember, this concept is very, very Eastern in nature. You know that 67% of the American employees hate their work. Are you aware of that?
I'm not, but I'm not surprised.
67% Gallup poll shows they hate their work. That's why TGIF, isn't it? Thank God it's Friday came into being.
Yeah.
They hate their work. The weekend was what they're looking forward to. And then the divorce rate in the Western world is about 60% too. Okay? Whereas in countries like India, only 2%. Now, there was no such thing as at the age of 14, my children will say, I want to stay on my own. No. They stayed with the family. The family was a unit, which the Western concept do not have a family unit because they lack the time. Today, children are brought up by maids. They brought in the slaves and the slaves took care of their children. And you know all that, right?
Yeah.
Now, therefore, prioritization is part of a human, which is a concept driven into every human, Eastern human. He understands that. Now, within the context of that, you will never, ever be able to prioritize if the 6 things I talked about. No? You need to understand what you have to do and when do you want to do it. Okay? If you don't understand that, it must be something that you really believe in it, no? It can't be just a talking point. Like, it must be something that you practice every day. Okay?
Right.
You have to adjust it. You cannot say, I have decided to do that 12 o'clock and therefore I'm going to do it. No. Something else more important may come up. So for that, you must have the skill to use your working time in a proper way. You can't use your home time or your personal time to crouch into that. Then you are a slave to work. That is also very important, crucial for you to understand. If you're not a happy person, you will not be a productive person. It's very Eastern concept. Whereas the Western concept is, I don't care about your family, get divorced, get this, get that done, work for me. And a few people become rich. Instead of the king, they replace it with the billionaires, which you have now. 4, 5, 6% of the American is the richest people, the rest are all poor, period. In Asia, this has not happened yet, Ikram. Our people who are financially rich and all that is spread across. That's why the middle class is far better off. You can see even in Malaysia, our middle class. You are a middle class person, right, Ikram?
Yep.
Am I a middle class person? Yeah. So why is it that the middle class in Malaysia or India or even China, okay, they are a happy lot, right?
Yep.
Whereas the middle class in the Western world is afraid now. Everything will be taken away from them, isn't it? So prioritization is a culture which we have. Now the question is its implementation. Because you do not place importance of yourself, you therefore circumvent to demand that is put on you. If you consider yourself important, then you know how to say, hey, okay, I will do this. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I'll do it afterward. I do it later. You will keep all these things that we talked about a few minutes ago. Understand the importance of prioritization, the identifying priorities that I got to do, the method of prioritizing it, the dealing with the overwhelming things that comes along, and staying flexible, adaptable, and balancing our priorities is something that you got to work on all the time. Does that make any sense to you, Ikram?
Absolutely, it does. It does.
It does, right? So
Yep.
the key is, am I important? Is my family important to me? Yes. Yeah, work is third. 1, 2, and then 3, work. And then within the work, this is the number of hours. Now, you remember 60% I told you work, I allocated 60. That's about nine hours, you know. Of the 16, 60% of 16 is how much?
60% of 9 hours is
16 hours.
60%.
60% of 16 hours.
Let's do that now. 9.6
Yeah,
hours.
exactly. See? So this is what my concept no? To work on it. So, but within that, I was able to achieve a little better. I spend more time with myself. I spend a little bit more time with my family. And of course, work, I was effective, very effective. So you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
Is it difficult? It requires one word only. You
Discipline.
must be, Ikram. Ikram. We must be very disciplined. We should not waste time unnecessarily. So if you look at me, I have taken that concept and made it even more better now in the last COVID period. Now you see that? You see the yellow color?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see the yellow color?
Yes, I can.
This is my time. My time.
Right.
And then you see a second line somewhere here. See here?
Yep.
That's 7 p.m. It is family time. So I have the my time, the family time, and work time. Work is between 10 o'clock in the morning to 7 in the night. You see that?
Yep.
So it's not a theory. It's something which I do.
Perfect.
So, but this is what I do, which requires one word only, discipline. That is the self. So the concept is you need to know what you're going to do and what you must do now and what you can do later. If you don't know that, go back and look at it yourself. Do you think that is easy for people to do?
Theoretically, it sounds easy, but I've worked with people on this, and in application, it's tough.
Okay.
Because people have a tendency to, in trying to prioritize, they have a tendency to say everything is important. They're not strict with what is important and what is not important.
Okay. Because you are working with Eastern people, to them, everything I got to do. They don't know how. This is a skill they must learn, which got to be done now. So therefore, leadership becomes important.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Not the person, the leader to whom he is reporting to. He must help him to understand, hey, this is number one to be done. This is number two. This is number three. a kind of an educational process in understanding. Like, for instance, as an example, in the school, you have a timetable. At 8 o'clock, we'll do history. 9 o'clock, we'll do geography. 12 o'clock, I'll do this. You know, some guide. That guide must be given by the leader of the person. Like a person like you should spend, okay, what's your schedule for today? What are you going to do today? And then guide him. You need to do that. If you are a salesman, then by 10 o'clock, you should be out in the field seeing people to 5 o'clock. Okay? And I need you to see that 6 calls or whatever the number of calls. That's your priority. You understand now? If you are a financial guy, your priority in the morning, cash report or cash flow or bank balance, or I don't know, whatever, you must give the direction. And in the beginning, it could be like this early morning for 20 minutes, you know, hey, what are your priorities today? What are your priorities today? If you do that, then you can manage these people, because they don't know the difference between what I got to do at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock and 10 o'clock. To them, everything is important. I got to do this. And when they get interrupted, then they deal with the interruption. Then you know what? They got to go back to what they did. They got to start all over again. Instead of telling the person, let me finish this and come to you. I am already experimenting that with a very important, one of my customers. He's the chief human resource manager. And I told him, in this company that he's working, shut your door. Put all your calendars, free time in which people can want to see you, block it in. He's the first one. Now, it's a 100 million US dollar company in India. Huh? It's not small, huh? Okay? Now,
it's big, very big, yeah.
So he is the only one who has got this. Nobody can just walk into his house, door and see him. So he structured it. Why? Because he's a vPlanner user for the last 5-6 years, is he? Okay. Now, so it is possible to be done until people are complaining about him, you know. Oh, it's very difficult to get him. He gives you an appointment 3 months from today. So why? They are not organized. Because to them, everything is important. Because they are treating you or any other employee as a hey, you are a slave. When I call you, come. That mentality must change. So what I told you just now, remember, we need, each person that you're dealing with need to know what he must accomplish. If he knows what he got to accomplish, that means his schedule in the day, in the daily schedule, it cannot be 9 to 10 something, 10 to 11 something, 11 to 12 something, 12 to 1 o'clock something, 2 to 3 something. Then this is not prioritizing. This is doing things unconsciously. So you must allocate space. So maybe if you are working in an office where you get interrupted a lot, then you only plan 4 hours a day. And 4, you slowly go to 6. Maximum. But 4 will be the minimum. 4 hours a day. In which you put down the things that you can accomplish. The rest of the time, the balance 4 hours, deal with what's coming on. Until everybody in the organization, including your customers, are also organized. Then you won't be running around like a headless chicken like that. No? You understand what I'm saying? Huh? Important, right? So my thinking is like that, Ikram. Is it easy? No. It requires discipline. When a person is disciplined, he will get it done. I am an example of that. And I'm now working with people during the COVID period, these 4 or 5 years now, Ikram, and I've been able to take that, what I do, and transfer it into them. And they are already achieving that, Ikram. They are achieving it. Not 100%, not 100%, but they are achieving it. Slowly, 60%, yes. Like, as an example, okay? Even when they're traveling to A to B, okay? They can still do certain things. So it's you that must decide. I'm important. I must take care. Again, Ikram, as I told you just now, a lot of people don't pay attention to their health, their own financial management. They don't. Their education and personal development, they don't pay attention to. And relationship to them is, by the way, a marriage, I'm married, so I don't spend time thinking about it. Now, how do you prioritize when all of these, the 5 things I talked about, your time, your health, your finance, your education and personal development, and your own relationship? If you don't put priority to all of this, tell me how you can manage yourself, Ikram. Tell me how. You understand? So that's the conclusion of that. So, I think people must immediately, if they are listening to a program, this podcast that they're looking at, they must themselves realize how much of their time in a day are they in control of. That's the first lesson. How much of time do I have? Can I control 4? Can I control 3? Can I control 6? What? How much? That's the first step. It's important to me. Then to manage others as they come along. Okay, you're not muted. You're muted.
Sorry. Yep, it makes sense.
Simple as that, right?
Absolutely.
If I must ask myself, hey, how much can I manage? A person like you, Ikram, 4 hours. Within the 4 hours, when I go to work, these are the few things I must get done. The rest, loose. Hang loose. Once in a while, you will have urgent thing to get through and all that. So you can accommodate that.
Right.
Correct.
Yes, absolutely.
If you block all the 8 hours, you can't.
That's what I've been.
Sorry?
That's what I started doing after you pointed it. I think about 2 years ago, you pointed this out to me that you cannot have all your time slots filled. And I've started planning it that way. It's 4 hours of the most important things that I need that moves the needle for me. For me, for example, activities related to sales is important. And then there's presentations I'm thinking. So that's 4 hours. The remaining 4 hours is for various stuff, meeting, ad hoc things, and it's given me a lot of leeway to manage work properly.
Ikram, if you are customer service, there's no prioritization. Customer service. You are there to serve the customer. That 8 hours is for customer service. Whatever comes, you must handle. But right. In between that 8 hours and customer service, you may have 2-3 things that you want to be looking at in between. That's all you can do. Correct or not?
Correct.
But if you are a financial manager, then if you tell me that you can't manage, my boss is always chasing after me, you are the problem, not your boss. No. HR, still like that. No? Then the HR is the problem, not the boss. Because you do not know how to manage yourself. And therefore, one should question, hey, why am I paying you tens of thousands of dollars when you don't even know how to manage yourself? Why?
Yeah, that is a valid question.
Yeah. So that's what it is, okay? Because the person himself do not see the importance of doing it. Importance of, hey, what do I deliver? What is my deliverable today? Today, what must I deliver? Then you will prioritize. At home, what must I deliver? For myself, what needs to be done? So, well, what I say sounds so simple, but that's what it is. It is that simple. Because,
So just
yeah,
sorry, just to recap what has been said, right? The first thing is to prioritize your general boxes. For
yes,
example, yourself, uh, family, and self should include health, and that's all of it, right? Your personal
yeah,
growth. And so there's yourself, there's your family, and there's work. And
yeah,
it's 20, 20, 60, right?
that's right.
And then within that, also you start prioritizing. So with that 60% of time on your work, you must understand what is it you want to achieve.
Yes.
And you prioritize those things, right? Everything that is not within that framework of what you want to achieve, you don't focus on it.
You don't focus on it.
Okay, right.
It's as simple as that, no?
Because yeah, because time is a limited commodity. You don't have
It is.
all the time in the world.
It is. Because we are so intelligent. The human is so bloody intelligent. You don't want to be driven like a slave, right?
Yes.
That's why this concept of time management does not work very well in the Western world. So they have a system. Okay.
What you're saying now, Venga, is actually the very definition of strategy.
Yeah.
One of the best definitions I've read for strategy is the best use of limited resources.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
The only thing that is limited, is time. Both in life, as you can live only so many years, the rest will continue, man. Hey, it's been going on for several billion years, man. This universe has been going on, right? You and I just pop in. A little by later, I'll pop out. Me, I'll go away. Then your turn. So while I'm pop in, I better utilize this commodity. That's why self-reflection, self-management, making use of what you can with what you have, not what you don't have, grabbing from others. That's not what it's all about. So that self-reflection, self-management, which is a totally Eastern philosophy, which is manage yourself first. Isn't it?
Absolutely.
And the rest can manage itself. First, learn to manage yourself. The rest will manage by. Look at it, man. Look at the tree. No? Primarily, look at how prioritization takes place in the tree. The root. The root gets soaked in very well. And then it grows. As it grows higher, the root becomes deeper. And then for it to feed, the leaves come out. Prioritizing, right? Correct or not? So as the rain flows and all that, certain areas, the land is not so good, it'll leave the current place and develop a root that can take on another place, right? So that it can balance its fall. See, even a tree is smarter than a human. Correct.
Absolutely. Yes.
Isn't it? Now look at the tree when it bears fruits. If the tree is near your fence, fruits will come, but always come on the other side, not your side. Why? Because the tree wants others to see and others to feed and take their fruits away. You, owner, you don't get it. But when I have satisfied that, then only I'll bear fruits this side. The tree is also like that, right? It must have intelligence, right or not? Ikram.
Yeah.
So like that, in real life, Lana, people put demand on you. They are putting demand on you because they think you have nothing to do. You show them you have nothing to do. So I give you things to do, lo.
Mm.
But if you sit down with the other person, explain, boss, you have several demands. Which of this should I deliver by tomorrow? Which of this I should deliver by day after tomorrow? Then you got some kind of strategy.
Correct.
Tell
Correct.
me, am I making it simple enough?
Yes, yes, you have. I think this has been a fantastic uh, uh, session in terms of, looking at prioritization from a broad perspective and then zooming down into your day-to-day affairs.
That's right. If you can manage
Venga,
one
we
week,
have come to then if you can manage 1 week, you're doing excellent. Right? Yeah. There's so much that can. I think, was it in your book that most people underestimate what they can achieve in a year and overestimate what they can achieve in a day?
yes, this is correct. Absolutely correct.
Or sorry, I think it's the other way around. They overestimate what they can achieve in a year, but underestimate what they can achieve in a day.
In a day.
So a
If you
year,
don't,
because it sounds very far away, people think they can, achieve all these things. But when you look at it in a day, they feel, oh, I can't achieve this.
see, if you learn to manage yourself, you can learn to manage a day. And if you can manage a day, you can manage a week. If you manage a week, you can manage a month. If you can manage a month, you can manage a year. If you can manage a year, then you'll be 85 like me.
And happy.
Right?
Venga, with the last 1 minute of our show, is there anything you want to say to wrap up today's episode?
I will say one thing. Prioritization equals self-management. Only you can decide what you have to deliver. If you can't even do that, give up your job and become a laborer. Then people will tell you what to do. The moment you reach a rank and earn in our country, say 4,000 ringgit or 3,000 and above, you must be capable of managing yourself. If anything below 3,000, then people tell you what to do. If you're earning 10,000 and you can't even do these few things, then you got to get rid of them.
Absolutely.
Learn to
Thank you very
prioritize.
much. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Venga. So we've come to the end of our episode for today. I hope this has been useful. I listened to you speaking about this often over the last 7 years, but every time I hear it again, it's, I get a fresh perspective. I get renewed with, okay, as you were talking, I was thinking, okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. So thank you very much for that, Dr. Venga. And I hope it was as useful for you, the listener. If you have any questions, post them in the comment section below. And Dr. Venga himself usually answers everybody's comments. Thank you. Have a good evening. And our next episode of Personal Development for Entrepreneurs will be on June 5th at 8 p.m. As always, it's the first Wednesday of the month. Good night.
Good night.